Talked to our TCM and he does agree that the bent water pump shaft is what caused the timing gears to fail. So we're going to get a complete block assembly, and Deere's going to pay for a new engine for him. So he gets a 2-year warranty, and so the customer is coming out pretty good on this one. We're going to go ahead and get this old engine back together so we can send it off as a core and wait for a new engine to show up. Finally, after weeks of waiting, we finally have an engine in. I'm gonna go ahead and get it taken off this stand and put on our engine stand, and then we can get to building this bad boy. Okay, the first thing we gotta do is get the oil cooler switched over to this block. And then this block did not come with injectors in it. So we're going to have to install the injectors and set the overhead. And we're gonna have to paint, a lot of paint. Painting day 2, let's do this. Stubby creates impact on auto mode. So it just snugs them up. Deere inches electronic torque wrench, 3/8 drive. Turn it on, set 50, that's what we want. Why you need a gear wrench 15mm moon wrench, especially when the thermostat housing is in the way. It's a little bit easier to get to now, but it makes it a lot easier to do this bolt. rocker arms, install the injectors. Got the flywheel on. Now we're gonna torque all the bolts to 67 foot-pounds to burnish the threads. Then we'll back them off to no load, and then we're gonna retighten them 66 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees. Now we're going to torque turn these bolts 90 degrees. We got the flywheel done, we can go ahead and get this engine set on number 1 TDC, and we're going to get the timing pins in. There, pin is in. There's a hole in the counterweight in the crankshaft we got to go in. Crank pin is in. Timing pin for the injectors and valves is in the crank camshaft. And the double notch is 11 o'clock when looking from the rear of the engine. Alright, we got the injectors, and I labeled each box with what injector is going in what cylinder, because the ECU needs to know exactly which injector is in what cylinder. So we have to program this number, and this number into the ECU to make it all work. Put a little sleeve slope on the O-ring, install a new bolt and clamp, set it in the hole, push down till it clicks. Alright, the injectors are in. Now we got to torque the hold down bolts to 33 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees. Now we're going to torque turn them 90 degrees. Got the gear inch set to 90. Shaft assembly on, and we got all the valve bridges on and the push tubes, and now we're going to torque the rocker shaft 22 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees. Alright, now we're going to set the injector preload and the valve clearance with these feeler gauges. We stick them underneath the slots on the valve bridge here. And we got 23 thousandths on the intake and 43 thousandths on the exhaust. And we got to do this in 6 stages. All right, the first step at number 1 TDC, we need to set the injector preload on number 5. and we run this down. I like to use a breaker bar so I can feel it with my fingers. But you run it down until the roller doesn't spin anymore on the camshaft, and then you're going to take this and move it a half a turn. Just like that, and then we'll lock the nut down. We'll set number 1 intake and exhaust valve. Put our 23 thousandths feeler gauge in there. Take our Allen, screw it down until it's finger tight. Slight drag, and then lock the nut, and then we're going to repeat that for the rest of the valve. The injector preloads and valve clearances are set. I put a little X on them when I'm done so I know that I got it. Before we put this timing cover on, we're going to upgrade the fan drive on this tractor. We're going to put new balance driven and drive units on this that are dry. So I've got to pull this shaft out of this timing cover, and I have a special tool made. Sleeve goes on there like that. Now I had my dad make me a special plate. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. My dad's a machinist. We'll put 3 bolts on that, and then we're going to yank this shaft out. Now we need to clean this hole up and press a new shaft in. Milwaukee fuel die grinder. We've got a new upgraded shaft here. As you can see, it's different than this one. This is supposed to fix whenever the bearings waller out this timing cover. You press this one in and it goes in really tight, but I've put them in worn covers before and it fixes it. So this is part of the fan drive upgrade. You get a different shaft, you get a different drive, and you get a different driven unit. So let's press this in. Now it's time to put the timing cover on and torque it. Alright, the timing cover's on, and I'm waiting on a special tool to align the timing cover to the crank. So when that comes in, we can center this timing cover up and then torque the bolts down. Now let's go ahead and put the injection harness in, the rocker cover on. Good morning, YouTube. Let's put this injection harness in. exhaust manifold parts, so we're gonna have to skip that for later until the parts come in. So I got the special tool in to center the crankshaft to the timing cover, so let's go ahead and get that. Dampener in this morning and the exhaust manifold, so we're going to go ahead and install it. I had this special sleeve made to align the crank damper to the crankshaft better. The John Deere special tool they have you use, I don't know, it's a few thousandths or so off, and it doesn't get this damper centered correctly, and then you can't get your fan drive in this hole. So I actually took a fan drive and I mic'd the outer diameter, and I had this sleeve made to that diameter, so whenever you press this in, it aligns it up perfectly so the fan drive will go into place and you won't fight it. And it's easier doing it out here on the floor, but when it's in the tractor, this could be pretty hard to do because this damper is pretty heavy. Here we got this awesome new cast iron exhaust manifold. I got new sealing rings installed, and I made sure the gaps were 90 degrees apart, and we're going to install it in here. All right, now it's time to put the exhaust manifold on. gonna go ahead and replace the EGR valves. There's a rear one and a front one. They're both the same part number, and we're gonna put new ones in because it's got the original ones in it, and I could tell that the passages are all plugged up and filled with carbon. So we're gonna replace these and clean this intake manifold up and paint it. Okay, got my special tool installed to remove the EGR valve. I just tighten these two down, put some pressure on it, and then lightly pry from the bottom to get it started. And there's our EGR valve. You can see it's all gummed up and nasty. Inside here, it's real bad. No power this morning in Atwood. It's dark in here. Good thing I got Milwaukee lighting. That's better. Looks like we're gonna have to continue to work without power. It's all right, I've got lighting. Let's go ahead and get this intake manifold on. We got the right side of the engine done, so let's finish up the left. Okay, the left side is done. Now we can finally put the fan drive on. Okay, we got the fan drive in. You can see that it took me 3 times to get it adjusted just right to where it'll go in. And that special tool I have is mic'd to the exact outside diameter of that fan drive, but to get it exact is kind of difficult, so I got it though. Now we're gonna put the new style rotary union in. That was a lot easier. Alright, now we're going to replace the torsion dampener, and we're going to remove the drive shaft and put a new U-joint on it. Oh, that was a lot better.